So there's lots of factors that play into a high quality Airbnb type vacation rental. But as I look back over the last 5 years and the 15 vacation rental investments that we own, plus the multitude of other investments that other vacation rental investors own that we work with, these are really the 5 main factors that boil down to creating that ideal vacation rental, the really high quality vacation rental that creates high cash flow and is also affordable. Hey, I'm Kirby Atwell from Living Off Rentals, and let's dive right in to factor number 1 that leads to a high quality, high cash flowing vacation rental, and that is using the laws and the restrictions on Airbnb in your favor. So what does that mean? Most people, when they talk about the laws, they talk about it in a negative sense. You know, if people want to invest in vacation rentals and there's restrictions against it, then they look at that as a hurdle. I look at that as an opportunity because the laws are all over the place. There's not just a law that it's either illegal or it's not illegal and you're allowed to do it. There's different versions of legality in all these different municipalities. They all come up with all kinds of different rules around short-term rentals. So I like to target these secondary and tertiary markets outside of big cities, close access to the big cities that are Airbnb friendly, that are short-term rental friendly. So they don't have restrictions, hard restrictions against Airbnb. But I like to buy in areas right outside of where there are restrictions. Because what these restrictions do is they do not limit the demand for short-term rentals. There's an absolutely massive demand for short-term rentals, nowhere near enough supply right now. So if you can buy in areas where there's restrictions on short-term rentals, or they just recently cracked down on them and they're trying to get rid of short-term rentals, there's still massive demand for that area, but people are going to search on Airbnb for an entire area, and they'll probably book a place right outside if there's availability right outside of that area, because there's probably not going to be as many Airbnbs available in an area where the restrictions are high. So use that restriction to your advantage. Factor number 2 that leads to a high quality vacation rental is picking the right affordable market. So let me define what I mean by affordable real quick. So what I mean is the price point compared to the nightly rate. So these always fluctuate. They do not work in correlation with each other. It's not like if you buy in a really expensive area, you're automatically going to have a super high nightly rate. And also, if you buy in an affordable area, it's not necessarily going to be super, super low rates. So I just mentioned that I love secondary and tertiary markets. And that's why I love these so much, is because you can buy just outside of a city. I hate the bureaucracy and the red tape that you have to go through in a lot of the big cities, but you can buy a lot of times in a suburb just outside of the big city that still has easy access to the city. It still has a nightly rate that maybe is 10, 20, 30% less than the city, but if you look at the price point compared to downtown in that city, it might be a third of the price point. So you might have 20% less on your nightly rate, but you're buying a property for a third of the price. So that's what I mean by affordability, is places where the nightly rate is still significant, but the price point is pretty low. And a lot of times with that lower price point, you're going to get lower taxes, you're going to get just lower expenses in general. And so I think it's super important when you're going through the market selection process. I love these affordable secondary and tertiary markets, and I think that's going to lead to really significant cash flow in the future for you. Factor numero 3, this also actually has to do with picking the right market, but this has more to do with seasonality and selecting a market with less of a low season or more of a high season. And some of these markets aren't super intuitive. So again, if I look right next door to us, Michigan, the state of Michigan is a big area where people buy short-term rentals and buy vacation rentals. And there's areas in Michigan that basically only have people inhabit them in the summer. There'll be locals there, but nobody goes there and rents short-term rentals in the winter months. And the winter months in Michigan can be pretty long. So you want to think through these areas, and people still own vacation rentals in those markets because they can really capitalize on the summer and they charge a high dollar amount in the summer. But there's also cities in Michigan, not too far down the road, and in a lot of cases, those are more affordable markets. So there's markets that might be a little bit more rural. Again, price point's probably a little bit lower, and they attract snowmobilers all winter long. So their snowmobilers go up there and they can't find enough places to stay. And then as soon as it starts to warm up, spring, summer, and fall, people will go up there for, swimming in the lakes and staying in cabins and seeing the leaves change colors. So there's things that attract people all year long. And so they're probably not going to get the super high spikes that some of these other areas that are, a lot of them are on Lake Michigan and they're just summer areas, but you've got cash flow year round, and overall you've got better cash flow, and also you've got better alternative strategies too. If a whole town shuts down, that kind of limits, if something changes with Airbnb, you can't now flip to a long-term rental in a lot of cases. You're kind of a one-trick pony. But in some of these other areas, which in a lot of cases are more affordable and people want to visit year-round, you can switch to a long-term strategy, a long-term rental strategy, if things change with short-term rentals. So I feel like you have a lot more options with those types of properties, and your cash flow is a lot more consistent. So as I've worked through this process of narrowing down these 5 factors and getting better at identifying the factors that lead to the absolute best vacation rentals, my wife and I realized that we only needed a handful of these properties to quit our full-time jobs and live off the income we're generating from these properties. Once I left my full-time job, then all of a sudden I realized I had a lot more time on my hands. So I decided to make a program to help others get the same results that we got. So it's specifically designed for people who are working a full-time job, and it takes them from no passive income to finding, buying, and setting up their first really high cash flowing vacation rental. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, you can go to livingoffrentals.com/call, and you can set up a call with me. That link is right below in the description, and it goes right to my calendar. So you can book a call with me. We could talk about your goals and whether this program might make sense for you. But if it doesn't sound like it does, no worries. Crush that like button and continue watching, because we're about to get into factor number 4 that leads to a high quality, high cash flowing vacation rental, and that is desirability. Desirability is a huge factor that holds so many people back from getting started. I hear this all the time, that I can't do vacation rentals or short-term rentals in my market because why would anyone ever want to visit here? And people think that you need to be right next door to a ski resort or to Disney World in order for this to work. And the fact is, this works in thousands of markets, literally. And that is because people travel and stay in short-term rentals for so many different reasons, so many unexpected reasons. When we were first getting started, we thought that people were just going to come here in the summertime to go to Lake Michigan. We had no idea that the numbers were going to be so good and that we were going to get bookings year-round. And then once we started getting bookings, we realized there are so many different reasons why people want to visit this area, and many of them apply to almost every other area where there's people. So let me just read through a few of the main reasons why people have visited just over the last several months, because I think a lot of these are going to shock you and they're going to apply to your market as well. All right, so a lot of people visit because they do want to go to the beach. However, here's a list of the other reasons that popped up. So somebody wanted to do a med school reunion with friends from med school, or somebody wanted to also do a college visit. Notre Dame is about 45 minutes away, so they were visiting for a college visit. Sisters Weekend, sisters wanted to get together. Several people just wanted to visit a new area. Many people want to visit family, but they don't want to stay with family. So visiting family is a big one. Birthdays, tons of birthday weekend getaways. Just a quick getaway from the city. We're about an hour away from Chicago. Photo shoots within the property or also at the beach nearby. The zoo, hiking, shops, wedding, religious celebration. Somebody flew in from Texas for a Jewish religious celebration. Parents' getaway, anniversary, boat captains for a camp. So we hosted a whole bunch of college kids who came and stayed for 3 weeks at 2 of our properties so that they could take kids up and down the river for a conservation camp. Aging parents care, that's a big one. Hospital visits, another big one. Casino and winery. So there's so many different reasons why somebody might want to stay in your short-term rental. So don't pigeonhole yourself, but do some research. Look at other comps in the area, read the reviews, read why people are staying, and that will show you a lot about what you can expect from your guests as well. And finally, factor number 5 that leads to a high quality, high cash flowing vacation rental is the factor that I think is absolutely the most important, and that is you. And this is the one that's undermined the most or discounted the most, and that is because people will look at a Facebook group and they'll see that everyone says you should buy in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And they have no affinity to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. They have no network there. They don't want to visit Gatlinburg, Tennessee, but they buy there anyway just because others are telling them that's what they need to do. Like I said, this works in literally thousands of markets. So why not pick the best market that aligns most closely with you? So there's really 2 components to what I mean by most aligning with you. Number 1 is getting super clear on why you are doing this in the first place. What are the outcomes that you want as a result of all the effort that you're putting in? Because you will put in effort. This isn't a get rich quick type of thing. You're putting in effort up front to get really great residual income for the long term. So getting clear on, are you doing this because you want cash flow? You want to escape the rat race as quickly as possible? Or do you want appreciation? Maybe you have a job that you absolutely love and you're just doing this for long-term appreciation. Or maybe you're a high income earner and you need big tax write-offs. Or maybe you want a vacation to a specific destination every year with your family and you would be the biggest hero in your family if you bought a vacation rental in that location that also paid you when you weren't using it. So getting super clear on these priorities is going to lead you into the best property for you. The second component of picking the right property for you is identifying what your unique competitive advantages are. So everybody is uniquely better at something than the majority of other people or than the average guy. So for some people, they might be handy. Some people, they might be just talkers and they have a great community in a certain location. So for me, I'll give you an example. I have a great relationship with a contractor that I've worked with for the last 6 years now over probably 35, 40 different properties where he's a great rehabber, comes in, does the job quickly. So that's a competitive advantage for me. So I can target properties that are in this area that obviously he has access to, and I can get those done really efficiently. I don't have to be at the property babysitting him. I don't have to worry that he's going to screw me over. So that's a big competitive advantage, and it gives me a leg up on competition who doesn't have something like that or a relationship like that in this particular area. And so I'm going to be more apt to buy a property in this area, along with lots of other reasons. It's high cash flowing, it aligns with our long-term goals, but that's a big competitive advantage as well. So identifying that competitive advantage for you uniquely is going to help you identify what the best specific properties are for you. So obviously there's lots to consider when you're thinking about buying a vacation rental, but if you keep these big 5 in mind when you're looking at properties, I think you're gonna do really well. So like I said, if you like this video, hit that like button and hit subscribe so you can be notified when I release weekly videos on this channel, which I do. And also, if you want to book a call with me, you can go to the link down below. It's livingoffrentals.com/call. That's a link directly to my calendar, and you can book a strategy session with me where we can talk through your goals and see if the program that I created to walk you through step by step to getting your first vacation rental is right for you. I hope you will book a call with me. I hope to talk to you there, but if not, I'll see you in the next video.